Welcome aboard to Ironside Cheats. Today we're going to be talking about The Apocalypse by Steve Cole. I read this trilogy a long time ago, years. I was able to recall the general plot of both Z Rex and Z Raptor. I was pretty sure I knew what happened in The Apocalypse. After rereading it, I am positive I read it at some point. However, I must have been falling asleep and skipped a ton of pages. This book is fantastic, though as much as I'm about to gush over it, I'm not sure if Steve Cole topped Z Raptor. The Hunting trilogy is for teenagers who like dinosaurs, wild science fiction, and or don't like to read all that much. I do mean teenagers. Parents, be responsible and monitor what your children read. This trilogy depicts carnage, gore, death, light psychological torment, and kidnapping. The writing is basic enough that the audience age range can be dropped, but teenagers will appreciate these books more, especially when they get to the parts about scientific ethics. Yes, that's why I said it's for teenagers. The Apocalypse is loaded with material to go over. Frankly, there is very little wrong with this story. I let one aspect of this book lower my appreciation for the story as a whole, and that was my mistake. Light spoilers ahead, you have been warned. The story picks up within months after the events on Raptor Island. Adam meets new people that help him along his journey navigating the stressful environment that is the US military. I mean, what do you expect? It's the US military. Tensions are already high, but they come to an early climax when the sky is filled with an unseen enemy. That sounds familiar. Adam is in the midst of the wreckage and witnesses the White House's collapse. Yes, these are minor. You lose almost none of the experience knowing this ahead of time. The next are a little more in depth. The end to the trilogy sees Adam grow up. Where he previously was passive and allowed others to make most of the decisions or do most of the work, Adam has gotten to the point that he is making many of the major decisions. There are some cliche moments that go into creating this change, but he goes through them nevertheless. Humanity is questioned here, what it means to be human. Amidst the ethics of cloning, forced evolution, and the obsolescence of man, it can be overlooked rather easily. I'm getting rather cheesy with this description, but it's true. There is a lot to this book that was barely touched upon in Z Rex, or not mentioned at all. This book makes it sound both incredibly cool and disturbing to achieve immortality. Achieving immortality so that you can that your competence and ability continues for years after what should have been the end of your lifespan. However, to achieve it, you must break yourself down into your most fundamental components and recreate them in a younger, stronger body. Repeat this process and theoretically you can live until your brain runs out of storage space. Adam sees the beginning of this process and speaks to himself, knowing full well what has to be done. Back to the theory part of this, though, of this thought experiment. we're an individual to accept this possibility and a request that they live on through another lifetime. That is fine, as long as it is possible for more than only the elite of the elite. Now, GeneFlow goes about this process in the most unethical way possible, mass genocide and replacing the population. It's like I said before, I was completely wrong with my notions of what this book was and how good it is. Steve Cole went into the realm of cheesy a few times, but he did a lot right that more than makes up for the cringe-worthy lines. This story is action-packed. War tactics are abound as war is imminent. I can't stress this enough. This trilogy falls under quote-unquote children's fiction because of the writing level. The themes in this book are a combination of science fiction and fantasy, but that does not mean that the details thoroughly follow suit. If you read this trilogy and this book specifically before your child does, you may notice the incredible amount of death and carnage that they contain. The premise is video game technology used for the most outlandish purposes, but it extends into heinous territory. The main character is exposed to a lot of events that would leave some soldiers with PTSD. Yes, he witnesses death, murder, destruction, and kidnapping. More than that, he is kidnapped. He's used in a science experiment that takes his DNA without his or his father's consent. Oh, by the way, at the beginning of Z-Rex, or by the way, at the beginning of Z-Rex, Adam is 13, and if I'm not mistaken, the whole trilogy takes place within a year. So by the end of Z Apocalypse, he's either still 13 or 14. He is a child and experiences things that no child should experience at that young an age, and it doesn't take away from the book, from the plot. Steve Cole did very well with this series, but it has to be understood that there is content that is not suitable for children of every age. I noticed this a little while ago. This trilogy's covers have the primary colors. I just thought that was funny. To get through this review, I listened to Chris Calico's Unstable on loop. And if you guessed, no sponsorship, no collaboration, you would be right. It is a good beat and has enough variation to keep you alert, but not so much that you can't concentrate on the task in front of you. Thanks for reading. Well, thanks for listening. Man, this I have to change these scripts. Thanks for listening and have a great day.
All right, everybody. Thanks for sticking with me until the end. If you want more content, you can check out my website, which has more reviews I've done as well as books I've written. You can follow me on Instagram, where I post what I am currently reading, as well as the progress I've made on my latest book. Both are linked in the description. Here on YouTube, you will find the audio version of the reviews I've done, answers to your questions, which you can ask me through my Instagram, and reviews on short stories that I otherwise wouldn't be able to write full reviews on. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time.